not going there. Got to get rid of this. Still don't like this system. There we go. Hello. So I'm just going to give a first actual tracker update using a system. We're just trialling it. We'll make a decision once we get all the votes in on exactly the system we'll use, because we used to use BeLive and that had some issues with clarity, but here we are. So now if I press this button here and then jing, oh, where do we go now? So that's recording. Hit this.
No, smaller that one.
Oh, I've got to get rid of that one. Okay, so now I've got to bring my bubble up here just to make sure I can see where it's at, and we should be looking at the fleet. Is this the latest ones here? Yep, it's the 1st of January, so we're into the system. I've given a full tutorial on everything I'm going to do here. Some of you will be watching the Yellow Brick app, which gives you the live tracker, but you get a lot less information in terms of weather and all the features like sea state and so on, and the wind is actually predict wind, which is a series of little triangles which is harder to follow. Whereas on the PC tracker, which you can get to from the website, when you go to the live tracker, this is what you get, and you've got all the information now to use all of these controls up top. So they're all having a pretty good run, but the wind, as we projected yesterday, is dying off dramatically. You can see here now Origami shot out the side. He's still moving, which is quite interesting. Anyway, they're getting closer. Little Wren, who took off 24 hours before the rest of the fleet, has been doing 3.7 knots for the last 4 hours. In the last 24 hours, has fallen back to about 82 miles and doing, making an ETA of around about sometime tomorrow morning, I reckon. Only got 65 miles to go, but you'll see the wind's drying off, so it could be early hours of the morning. We'll wait and see exactly what happens there. Right at the back of the fleet, we got Popeye sitting there with probably more breeze than most at the moment, coming from the east and northeast. He's making 3.3 knots, did 71 nautical miles in the last 24 hours, the same as Little Wren, close enough to it. He's got 285 miles to go. That's going to be interesting to see the stories when he gets in, because...
the map. You need to go back and
okay, come and have this. We've got to... So apparently the map isn't up there. Let's see what happens here. I'm not sure why you haven't got the map up.
Because you haven't put that on.
Okay, now the map is up. Alright, we'll start this again. I got to minimise that one. Bingo. Back on the track here. Hit this one here. And that's it. So, start again. Now you should be seeing the map. Okay, so it's for 11:30. The weather is on 11:30 this morning for 1st of January, so it's a little bit an hour ahead of us, exactly what we're getting, but it's dying off dramatically. You can see here the fleet is sitting in not much wind at all. These lighter blue areas, or the darker blue, is virtually no wind, and then where you get these wind arrows here, you've got the slight breeze, but there's not much at all, so they'll be slowing down dramatically, and in fact coming down to just a few knots. Back again, I was just talking about Little Wren. You can see she's pretty close to Lanzarote now, going to go down the east coast of the island and around the corner. And Popeye down the back here, he's got a bit of green, so he's probably got about maybe 10 to 15 knots at the moment, and has done pretty well, but he's still got 285 miles to go. Then BB, 3.6 knots with 217 miles to go. And build that up so you can see it a bit better. Okay, so BB, yeah, down the back, not much wind at all, so you're going to see that slow down. They managed 93 nautical miles last 24 hours, but that will drop right off. They might only make 40 miles in the next 24 hours. Deja 100 with John, doing 3.7 knots. I've got to get away from my screen here so you can see it. Coming across to the southeast, probably getting ready for that wind shift later on. And yeah, he's got 200 nautical miles to go, so made 80 miles in the last 24 hours. Argo doing pretty well. Straight course, 4 knots, did 90 miles in the last 24 hours. and 198 miles to go. They're all pretty close together. Number 2, Jasmine, still on 3.5 knots. Seems to be holding that speed for quite a while. Still 89 miles in the last 24 hours. And then Immortal Game, starting to try and hold the leaders and catch up, but it's not a race, just a trial. It was interesting, he's working a sleep pattern of about 40 minutes of sleeping and 20 minutes of up and checking it out. That's pretty intense for a voyage where you're not actually racing. When I sailed down here on this particular leg, 3 or 4 years ago, jeepers, at one point I was down below for like 9 hours when it was blowing consistently, had no sails up, just running down. But even when I'm sailing, I tend to stay up, and they'll go down usually for a couple of hours unless there's something happening, and just stick my head up for 5 minutes and then go straight back again if there's nothing there. Give them a blind call on the radio. So Dan is into racing mode, probably just getting used to those sleep patterns and trying out different systems, but everyone will have their own take on that. Biggest Monkey, doing okay, 4.1 knots, probably the big spinnakers up, 77 miles in the last 24 hours. Little Bow, 95 miles, so probably, sort of holding his own with Biggest Monkey, but gained on him in the last 24 hours. 173 to go. Peter Punk, right up there still, driving really well, 4.4 knots and 102 mile day. And here we've got Renaud, sort of leading the pack to a degree, with 97 mile day, doing 4.1. The interesting one here is Origami. As I said, there's a few things going on. Origami's definitely headed out to the east because he knows what's going to happen with the weather, and he doesn't want to get it caught having tack to the finish. That's what I reckon's happening anyway. And did 82 miles in a day, 3.9 knots. But you can see later on, if I pull this, I'll just run the weather through now and show you what's going to happen. There's Lanzarote down there. The fleet's moving forward into a zone. If I bring this forward another couple of, that's 2:30 this afternoon. You can see it's still really light, dead downwind. Everyone's going to slow down dramatically, so they won't be making heavy progress. This is 5:30 this afternoon. Nothing's really changed. Little Ren's going to get a bit of a kick, but I still don't think that he'll get in before early hours of tomorrow morning, and that's when we'd expect him. So then going through till 8:30 tonight, the breeze is then coming in from the northeast, and it's going to start swinging. So, but there's certainly more breeze over this side of the course, over on the east, than there is in the middle. So, and I think Origami's probably picked that. So, just coming down again, you can see there's breeze coming in from a little faint breeze, but it's not a lot. It's still kicking in from the northeast. He's on the second now, so I think you'll find the fleet. Let's just push it down. So, in fact, I'll come back. I'm a bit all over the place here because I'm still trying to work out the system. This is the first. I'm going to go 24 hours. So in 24 hours, this is about. Okay, this is the weather in 24 hours time. In 24 hours, I think most of them will have probably only gone about 40 miles, I reckon. So let's just see. So we'll just pick middle of the fleet. I'm using the measuring tool. There's 50 miles. So yeah, the fleet's going to be around about here somewhere in 24 hours. It may be a little bit longer, 60 miles, something like that, but no further. So it's very light winds to no wind. And even though Origami's trying to get out there, maybe she's going to fall into a hole here. A bit hard to pick. Okay, so that's about halfway between Renaud and Adam here. That's about where they'll end up. So then, getting out of that, coming back to the weather for the next 24 hours, you can see that calm's going to play around. If they can just squeak through it this time, but that's by the end of the day tomorrow, by midnight tomorrow, they might be in this and then start coming down. So you may see them getting through the system. There it is, but it's quickly swinging to the southeast, and you want to be out to the east. And if you're southeast, you can reach across this. If you're up here, you're having to go to windward. So you definitely, if you can, crawling through those calms on the second, you really want to work your way out to the east. And if you do that, those to the east are going to get a slight advantage. And just to confirm that, it's 8:30, so this is now 2 full days away. And 2 full days, some of the boats will either be here to the east of the island, or they'll be just above the island. If they're just above, they'll probably keep reaching across and come down the west side. If you're this side, they'll be heading in there. So the 3rd is when you're going to see the majority of the fleet, and then it's swinging right on the nose, but not for long. So by the end of the day on the 3rd, there's then no wind. So that will, cause some confusion again, and then it's back to an easterly and slowly moving around, doing a full circle again for the 4th and the 5th. So Popeye is going to be challenged, I think. Popeye will get hooked up in some of this, and we'll be having to tack to windward on the 5th. So it might be a struggle for him to get in, but it's all light stuff. It's not complicated. It'll be pretty smooth seas, all of this stuff. In fact, I'll just come back to about the 3rd, 2nd, just show you the sea state. So, yeah, that's all less than 2 metres. So they've got nice sailing. What's the clouds doing? The clouds is pretty clear. There's a bit of puff there, but this is on the 2nd and 3rd, so it's a bit of a mix. Then, just to reiterate what goes on here with the leaderboard, you can see over the side here, if you followed the tutorial yesterday, this is all the details you need on the boats. Little Wren got a head start. It shows you distance to finish, distance covered in the last 24 hours, average speed, and a projected ETA. But at the moment, this ETA is based on probably around 4 knots of speed, and they're going to slow right down. So the 3rd and the 4th, and probably the 5th, and even the 6th for Popeye, let's wait and see. That's really about it, and I've got no idea how to turn this off at the moment. So we will get this organised, and I'll get into a routine. When the race is on, we'll talk about that during the stopover, but there'll be one scheduled regular update all the way across for the mini globe race once a week on Fridays, and then random ones whenever I can and when I see something happening. For the Transat, they'll be a bit more often. We'll try for every day, but it'll probably work out every couple of days because they'll be in trade winds and things are moving along. Anyway, Jane, how do we turn it off? We go to the console on the right here, hit that one, boom, come up and hit the stream. Is that one?
Yeah.
Yep, hit that, and then hit this. See you later, everybody.